Hey everybody, and welcome back to another RCT2 review. We continue our head-to-head 10 reviews with round 2 and match number 2. This is the first part, Castello Altovento. This is the Jazz Cats team. This was built by 4 players. Jene with 35%, as well as Mr. Brightside with the same. And we have Steve and 94 Supreme Posse also with 15% each. So let's jump into it. This is actually a really pretty park. We've got kind of two halves of a park here. I'll zoom out a little bit, and we can see the view. The whole premise of the park is we're basically in an Italian village, and there's a wine festival going on, which is pretty cool. So first, let's start with these really great landscaped elements, and I feel like there's some Steve in here as well, not just the Steve trees you might expect, but we have these cool tracked ride or tracked vehicles here for the garden scenery. So we have these really kind of nice curved vineyards all around, which I think is very cool. There's a tour going on here, which is kind of fun. Bring guests all throughout the space. Got some little butterflies and various details around, and I love just the little bits of movement, like the swinging lantern. There's just a lot of just very pleasant natural elements within the park. So, we continue into the actual village of this half of the park, I suppose. Really, really nice architecture throughout here. You can kind of spin around and see that it's very well tiered down to the water. So there's a lot of really nice opportunity for good views. I think when you terrace something like this, you can really build out the buildings so you can make everything slightly more dense while still maintaining the visibility of everything. So we can spin around and we can see the cliffside and everything. These kind of rocky cliffs going up. We've got this wine crusher down here, and then a little track which is part of the wine cellar tours that we'll see kind of going all around. If you see the mine train coaster track, that's the tour going all around. Love these windmills on the diagonal here with the spinning blades. Another little bit of movement that I think is really pleasant. Lots of use of the stalls, the clickable stalls, which we've seen in tons of parks so far, and I think they're really well used here as well. Definitely have that European type market vibe to it. Coaster-wise, I really like this coaster. I feel like this is probably a Mr. Brightside thing, as he knows his coasters, but I haven't seen too many of the suspended family coasters done in the game. It's been quite a while, I feel like, since we saw the last one. But using the looping coaster track as sort of a dummy track while putting the vehicle underneath of it was pretty neat. Non-inverting, so nice family coaster here, working its way right around the buildings of the town. Really like how kind of minimalistic the supports are too, so it really doesn't affect the overall viewing of the town, yet you still get that ability to kind of cruise around all the buildings and just make it look very nice. So a really nice coaster layout for sure on this one. Another ride that I hadn't really seen much of before is the Zamperla Nebulas. So this one's kind of a fun ride that's becoming super popular in real life, but I haven't seen it too much in RCT yet, so this is a good touch as well with the wine barrel theme and everything. Love this curved trellis as well coming up, and there's our curved stairs, so let's check that box off as well. Nice diagonal pirate ship, or well, I guess it's not a pirate ship, it's just a ship, but very nice ship here on the diagonal, which is quite nice. And we also have a little Nautic Jet ride here, which is kind of a fun one called Riva Run. See those on occasion in parks, but I always do kind of like seeing them just because they're a very, very European invention and one of those very much not in America type of rides. Really great architecture all around, though, I would say, just because there's a lot of good color into it. I love this blue. It really pops. The greens as well. This dark green is honestly one of my favorite colors in RCT. With the right palette, it can look really excellent, in my opinion. Station for the ride is really good too, with the fleur-de-lis details around the outside of it, and really just architecturally in general, this is a very strong area too. Check out over here, we've got these dancing peeps rides, which we're going to see later on as well on the other side with the musicians as well. Nice, very nice little touch there. And the fountains too. Big fan of the various fountains, like this waterfall coming off on the side here. This just seems like it would be a really good vibe to just hang out with and have a glass of wine and do that sort of thing. Good flags and just more movement in general. I do feel like movement is a really big key in and not just head-to-head parks, but just parks in general. This is a good fly past waterfall, by the way, there. But I don't know. For me, it's movement and clickable things just to really tell a story. It really explains it well, I think, and you don't want to, in my opinion, you don't want to leave your park viewers guessing. In a lot of cases, you want to at least tell them a bit of a story or explain some things to them so you can really kind of flesh out your park beyond what the actual built environment looks like. Great tower too, by the way, that the coaster comes through. I think that works well. 3x3s can look a little fat sometimes, but this one works pretty well, and it allows for the coaster to come right up through the middle of it. So as we come across this big bridge, we have this great curved kind of staircase entrance and this nice viewing area with the waterfall coming off of it that crosses over to the bridge. Underneath of it, we have the wine cellar tour as well, going back and forth across the island. Love this arch bridge just in general. I think it's very pretty with the statues and everything. I think it's quite nice. We've got some very nice music too on this side. And by the way, too, I didn't mention the custom music has been really great for this park with the Italian just kind of vibe, Italian village vibe, and the sort of ocean sounds and everything. It's quite nice. We get onto this side, and our scale suddenly goes way up. We've got this giant castle, which is pretty impressive. Scale being one thing, I do think this is a little too big compared to our little quiet village here on this side. Got a bit of a layer cake going on here, but in general, the forms are really nice, and the architecture is very pretty. We've got a couple things going on here. Got our big coaster wrapping around at this sort of interesting dueling moment. Not necessarily ride dueling, since we have one train on one side and one train on the other, but just visually I think it's kind of neat to see like one wrap this side while the other one wraps this side. It's a very cool detail, and it is one coaster. It's just sort of two halves of it, which we'll look at in a little bit. Come up here first, and we have our main wine festival. So we have our dancers here on top of this beautiful sun on the ground. Loving the pathway textures and everything. I think we saw these introduced with the extraordinary Biota Park. Here's our queen or king, I guess, of the festival, and nice long tables here with the wine and everything on all of that. As we go back to look around this castle area a little bit, we've got this very nice parachute drop tower. This is called Rosé and Fall. Quite nice. Little detail here, we got the painter looking out over everything. We've got the dancers up here as well. So very fun details. On this side, we have the queue and ride station for the cellar tours. We go up here, we can actually see a really cool curved staircase down to this and then up and into the station itself. Really love this on the tower. I think that's very nice. Got some wine spilling out into the sea, unfortunately, and over here maybe a heist going on. Kind of feel like that is what we're looking at here. We've got Ariel here, a little Easter egg perhaps. One of the cool things we've noticed so far is the sea in motion here, which is really a neat touch. So this is just a movable scenery piece or animated scenery, and it just has a very nice slight up and down, but when you throw in the wave elements, the rapids pieces, and everything together, you really get a great feeling like the actual ocean is moving really well. So I think that's a very cool touch. I thought it would be kind of glitchier along the edges, but it looks really good, to be honest. Okay, so coaster-wise, let's look at the main coaster here. So this is Zephyrus. We got a vertical lift hill here that leads us into kind of this first helix bit and this diving corner. Gonna go see through the loop, and then here we've got our kind of twisted pretzel here with the dive loop and the Immelman together. So that's always a fun bit of a touch. Rethread our loop here and kind of work our way down and around. That's going to end up with us coming back here underneath of the station, rolling again through over here. Nice little dueling moment there for sure. Inside we've got this kind of weird inverted lift going on, and dive down through this little tunnel, which is pretty neat. Then our second half of the ride, making good use of all of the new Giga Coaster pieces that we have on the tracks here. A lot of the not half diagonal, but the diagonal climbs and dips. Got a back type element here with the 0G roll pieces also. So very nice coaster. You know, very fits the kind of fantasy-ish theme here. It's, you know, plausible reality kind of size coaster. But it's nice to see it kind of roll all around and wrap the thing. And the blue really makes it stand out against everything else, because there really isn't anything of a similar kind of bright blue on this park. Last ride that we're going to look at up here is the swings that go between this big archway. It's a pretty striking space for a ride, especially boarding. You know, imagine that's a little hairy, going up to the top here 3 or 4 stories up and getting onto this ride vehicle, but pretty neat design, I think, and just a good way to utilize this whole space. But the castle area is quite nice, despite it being so much larger than the town next to it. But you know, standing on their own, I think the scale is correct on both of these sides. You can go kind of either way, but together, you know, you get a little bit of a disconnect there. But regardless of that, it is a really, really pleasant park. I love the use of all the curves, all the half diagonals, just all the little details throughout. I think the Italian Village is probably my favorite bit here. It's just a very kind of pleasant, peaceful architecture and great ride interaction through the whole thing, with some good landscaping to keep it pretty green, and all of the waterfall elements in there as well. So very nice work to the 4 builders, and you should definitely download this one and check it out in more detail. There's lots of clickable things, lots of staff you can click and get some more stories behind, and just explore it to a more in-depth view. So that link is in the description of this video, as well as Open RCT2, which you do need to view this. That's it for this one. We will be back with the opposing park here in the next video. So until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day. Bye now.